is The Brenda Lee Show. The Brenda Lee Show.
All right, guys, welcome back. Brenda Lee here, and I am excited to actually dive in a little deeper on our last podcast that we had posted regarding loneliness and surrounding yourself with the right people, right? How you can take your power back over loneliness that people might be trying to slip you into a victim state and cause you to feel sorry for yourself, if you will, and kind of step into the space that is totally unnecessary. We get to take our power back over any kind of loneliness or emotion that we're feeling, for that matter. And so one of the cool things that I love about this is that I get questions after this. And this is awesome. I actually had 2 clients ask nearly the identical question last week after that. They were like, one phrased it and said, well, Brenda, you're a coach, so you're constantly with people that are trying to rise up. Like, how do you do that? And I was like, ooh, awesome question. So we unpacked it. And then I had another one shoot me an email that was quite lengthy, that was really digesting it and was like, well, what do we do with the people in our life that may not be 10s, right? But yet we still love them. We want to engage with them. How do we go about doing that? And so we want to unpack that today and give you some insight on what this means. Okay. So first of all, with their question, it was, like I said, it was phenomenal. And this is what I love about it is I want you guys to ask questions. I want you to question the status quo and think deeper. This is why I surround myself with even killer clients. I mean, my clients are amazing. I don't know how I get it, but I just have amazing clients. And so when they're asking these deep intellectual, theological questions, right, where we're doing some critical thinking, I value it, I appreciate it, and it causes all of us to have a fantastic discussion. So let's put a bow on this for you guys and for my clients so that everybody can understand exactly where we're coming from, okay? So here's the deal. As like a coach for me, this is like the essence of who I am, you guys. I pour into people all the time. Now, one thing I want to make crystal clear, just because someone is a 10, if you remember from the last podcast, I had said, I'm not going to go seek relationship advice from someone who doesn't have a rockin' relationship. I'm not going to go seek business advice from someone who isn't more successful than I am. I'm not going to seek financial investing advice from somebody who is crappy with their finances, okay? So just because there's a 10 in this area, it doesn't mean that that person is like, okay, they suck at everything else, or we're like going around judging people and labeling, well, you're a 1, you're a 3, you're a 5, you're out, right? Like that is not at all what I'm saying. When we've got people, every single person has different parts to them, okay? And so I am fantastic at emotional intelligence, self-development, leadership development. Those are my niches that I'm really good at, right? I am not necessarily good at everything else on the planet. So just because I'm a 10 over here doesn't mean I'm a 10 in all these other areas. I've had to really work hard on my fitness area, right? It's not something secret is out. I don't love working out. I love the way I feel after I get done working out, but I don't love it. These people that geek out and wake up at like 4 a.m. are like, I can't wait to go to the gym. And I'm like, oh, good for you. I have to drag myself there every single time, right? I love the way I feel when I'm done, but I'm definitely not a 10 in that regard, right? So I'm not saying that every person in every facet of their area of their life has to be a 10. What I am saying is that when we're seeking counsel and we're seeking advice from people, we go to the best over that thing, that part that we're seeking advice over, okay? And the reality is I want to distinguish the other part that I wanted to make really crystal clear is I want to distinguish the difference between people who are stagnant in willfully choosing to stay at a lower level. They have been given all resources, all access to all knowledge, podcasts. They've had people in their life pouring into them, and they are deliberately choosing just to stay at that level. Those are the people that I very specifically choose. Like, you don't get to be in my life. Okay. Like, you just don't. I'm not taking on your negative energy. I'm not going to take on that attitude. We become the 6th of the top 5 people we hang out with. I don't want to live in that kind of a space, right? So what I do is with people who are coming to me, like the question of, you're a coach, you're always dealing with these people in this area who are lower than you. Yes, of course. The difference is they're willing. They desire to grow. They desire to stretch. They desire to be better in this area that I am an expert in, right? It doesn't mean I'm an expert in these other places. difference is I'm not giving them advice in those areas. I'm giving them advice in the areas that I'm an expert in. And those people, I could have a one come to me, and if they are willing and they desire the growth, I will pour into them all stinking day long. All day long. I do it all the time. I do it everywhere I go. Like, you guys, listen, even though we may think we're operating at a better level. And I don't even want to say better, because that's not what this is about. This isn't about judgment, you guys. Like, oh, I'm better than you, you're less than me. That is not at all. I do not even operate that way. Everybody's on their own journey. They're going to have their own path. They're going to get there when they're supposed to. And the difference is, and these are some things I want to give you. I want to give you 3 tools on how to deal with those people who might be in your life that you still have to engage with, right? Where you're like, they really bring me down. They're just a drag, right? Crabs in a pot. We've all heard the analogy. There's these fishermen on the Alaskan shore, and a layman like me who has no idea about fishing. I come up and I'm walking along the beach with him, and I see a bucket. They put crabs in literally like a 5-gallon bucket. They put the crabs in there, and I'm like, hey, your crab's going to escape. There's a crab ready to crest over the edge of that bucket. And the fisherman sits back and says, just give it a minute, watch and wait and see what happens. As soon as that crab is cresting up over the edge, the rest of the crabs reach up and pull that crab back down in the bucket. The whole philosophy of crabs in a bucket is, if I can't elevate, neither can you. If I'm not willing to do the work and I don't have the courage and the bravery to look at myself, I don't want you to get better, because what happens when you get better, you're now holding a mirror up to the insecurities that I have, and I don't like it. And that's when people start to pick at you when you're growing, when you're seeking a better lifestyle, when you're no longer drinking, when you're no longer partying, when you're doing these things, they start to judge you because you're holding a mirror up to them, and they don't like what they see. Yet they're also unwilling to do the work to change it. Instead, they take what I call the cheap way out, and they judge you, and they gossip about you, and they try to crab you in the pot, right? Keep you in the pot instead of actually leveling up with you. Those are the people that I'm talking about. Those are the people that we don't integrate and we don't allow fully into our life. And when we also say fully, I'm talking inner circle, okay? These are the people that are really, really close to me. They operate nearly in every area of their life as 10s. The people that I confide with that are in my personal space, right? We've got a whole code of conduct with my clients and I where we personal and business, it's a different deal, right? We get to keep it that way because that's what our relationship is, right? But I'm talking personally, the people that I go to, that I confide in, that I have those deep intellectual, heartfelt, holy crap, I don't know what to do about this element of my life conversations with. Generally, they're operating at 10s in most areas of their life, right? We've all get to give and take because these people that are in that inner circle might be 10s and usually are. They're 10s in areas that I'm not. So that's why that whole concept of you become the 6th of the top 5 you hang out with is so important, because they've got skill sets that I don't have. They're 10s in areas that I'm not. And I need their support and their guidance and their wisdom. And we get to have this exchange, and together, collectively, we all get to rise up because we're all sharing our expertise, or whatever you want to call it, whatever we're great at. We get to share that with each other, and we get to rub off on each other, and we get to elevate each other in these other areas that we may not be great at, right? And so that's the beauty of having these people in our life. So when you're dealing with the people, though, the crabs in the pot, like I said, the 3 tools I want to give you is 1, bubble up. I say this all the time to my kids, to my clients, everything. Literally, you envision a bubble of light, or some people do like a veil, whatever works for you. Again, no judgment, right? Whatever works for you to cause you mentally and emotionally to say, I'm going to go see this person. It could be a family member. It could be a coworker. It could be a boss. It could be a neighbor. It could be whoever, right? I'm going to go and engage with this person. Number 2, we're going to radically accept who they are. We're not going to try to change them. Okay. If they're choosing to stay at that level and they don't seek advice and don't seek it, we don't go give it. We don't go say, hey man, you should really do this. Like, you really kind of suck at it. We don't do that, right? We're only giving advice and building others up who are seeking it and seeking our counsel and seeking to grow. Now, we always lead by example, and whether they choose to see that and then seek to to grow themselves, good on them, right? But if they're not choosing to ask the question and seek advice, we don't go give that. We just sit tight and we do our thing and we lead by example. And people notice that. I'm telling you, people are watching all the stinking time. My kids are watching me all the freaking time. Anybody who has kids on this podcast, you know, when you start to say something and then your 2, 3, 4, 5-year-old starts to repeat that, you're like, oh crap. They got that from me, right? Like everybody is watching all the time. Okay. So number 1, we bubble up. Number 2, we radically accept them. We just accept this is who they are. This is where they're at in their journey. They're not ready to do the growth for whatever reason. They're not ready. And it's not my job to have someone else do that work. Okay. Not my job. I did that for 14 years in a marriage. And it was the hardest lesson I ever learned. It was his job to do his work. He had an addiction that was just, it consumed our marriage so much, we couldn't even get to each other's crap in a relationship, in a normal relationship, right? Couldn't even get to the normal things because I certainly wasn't perfect. There's no two ways around that. And we were dealing with this upper issue that just overarched, and it was like a black cloud over our entire marriage. We couldn't even get to the basic stuff. Does that make sense? So I tried to get him to address his stuff. He didn't want to. At the end of the day, he didn't want to. And I wasted 14 years on that element. I have 4 beautiful boys. I'm super excited. I've grown through all of it, so it's not wasted in that regard. But I wasted that energy on that person when he absolutely didn't have a desire to do it, okay? And that's what I'm talking about. When we're operating at an awesome level, and we've worked hard to get there. I've worked hard to get to this level in a lot of areas of my life. It's not easy, people. Like people think like, oh, you whatever. Like it's not easy. It takes it takes daily work. I have to mentally go to war with myself every single day. I love that. Bedros Keuilian talks about that. We go to war with ourselves every day. I'm not going to war with anybody else in the room, anybody else that's around me. I'm going to war with me in my mindset and what the chatter goes on in my mind. I have to go to war with that every single day, and it requires effort. It requires work. It requires intention. It requires discipline and boundaries within my own self of what I decide and what I'm willing to compromise and do and let go of and embrace in my life. Okay. And so when we're in that space and we're operating at that, we get to give this to the world. That is the beauty of us in rising up. And that is why I'm so freaking passionate about every leader on the planet raising up, because leaders are leading other people. And when leaders raise up and other people see it, they're going to say, ooh, I want some of that. Or they're going to say, I don't. And we're not going to worry about those. We're not going to give our energy to those people. It doesn't mean we're mean. It doesn't mean we judge them. It doesn't mean we cut them out necessarily, right? Like if you're early in the process, sometimes it is easier just to cut those people out until you get disciplined enough where you learn how to deal with it. And then when you learn to self-regulate and you learn how to deal with this within yourself, you can handle everybody on the planet. My girlfriend recently just said to me, we were having this dialogue back and forth on an app and voice text back and forth. And she was like, how do you deal with these people that like just drive you batshit? They drive you freaking sideways. And I said to her, I was like, I've learned to love certain parts of anyone. I can love certain parts of anyone, even people who have totally betrayed me, totally broken my trust, and whom I have very little respect for, right? There's one thing that's really difficult for you to get from me. It's respect. And there's one thing that you won't ever get back, usually, unless you won't ever get back from me. And that's respect also, right? Like it takes a miracle for you to gain my respect back once you've lost it. When you've lost it, it's a done deal, right? So those people it's not that we're mean though, that we talk poorly about them, that we gossip, that we don't say hi as we see them as we walk by or drive by, or we engage with them at a business meeting. It doesn't mean any of that. We still respect them as a human, but we don't have to allow them into our space and have them into our inner circle. Okay. So I really want to make that clear with you guys that this isn't a judgment. We're not going around rating people. This is not at all. My whole career, my essence, and the essence of who I am is about raising people up around me. It's a gift and I love it. I get to do what I absolutely love. And there's nothing cooler, you guys. There is nothing cooler than working with a client or a team or whoever, where we're dealing with executive clients, we're dealing with the team, where they have that aha moment and they're like, oh my gosh, and they just grew they just stretched in a way that they didn't see possible 5 minutes before. That's what we get to do for everyone around us, okay? And so, like I said, I just really wanted to clarify all of that, and I want to equip you so that you can get out there and whatever your gift is, whatever it is for you, go give it to the freaking world. Give it full tilt frickin' boogie, right? Full throttle. Give everything you got. One of the things that I have a knack at is helping people get belief in themselves. And that includes even people that I can see at the grocery store who are checking me out. If they look like they're having a rough go, I have no problem, and I will dive right into those people right there on the spot. And in some way, shape, or form, I hope to God that I leave those people better than when I first entered their life, right? And that's our goal, that we're leaving people better. We're pouring out our 10 areas to everyone possible. We're gleaning from the other 10 people, and we're always encouraging and pushing all of us, because here's the deal: when we really want to dissect all the different parts, like I said, fitness, the reason fitness didn't used to be important to me is I still had some unworthiness issue. And I see this all the time with people, all the time with my clients. Your fitness level and the way that you treat your body is a radically clear indication of how you feel about yourself internally. It really is. And that's why when I realized all this work that I had to do, and I realized, oh my gosh, now there's elements that come into play, like hormones and all those things that, like, I'm just saying, when you get older, like, you kind of got to address those things. It sucks, but that's the fact, where that can kind of derail you, even though you're doing all the right things, right? And so don't beat yourself up if that's an issue going on. And if you are getting to that age, go see a friggin' doctor. And if you're in Boise, I have a fantastic one, so I can refer you. I send people to her, to the point where at one point she's like, I can't even take new patients until I get another person, right? Okay, so we've got people, we've got resources. So don't beat yourself up in that area if you're doing all the right things. The point is that, are you treating yourself as a Ferrari or as an old 1940s beat up Volkswagen that's been sitting out in a field and rusted and treated like crap, right? Like, how are you treating yourself? How you treat yourself and how you give everything that you take in, music, movies, TV shows, whether TV shows, like, they don't even hit my radar anymore. I just don't even spend time on that, right? Because it's not edifying for me. It doesn't build my vibrational level up. It doesn't cause me to be a better person. I sit there and I numb out, and I'm just numb and dumb, and I'm not doing anything. Now, sometimes, don't get me wrong, we'll sit down and do family movies because we just need to decompress, right? I'm not judging all of that or anything like that. But for me, it doesn't work for me to sit around and watch hours of TV. It doesn't work for me to sit around and drink alcohol with people all the time. It doesn't work for me to not work out. My God, I cannot even begin to tell you how important it is for my energy level, my body, and my ability to focus and to give to you my best. If I don't work out, if I don't do that, I'm not able to give you my best. If I'm not fueling my body with the right food and with enough water, I'm not able to give you my best. And I am here, you guys, because I care. I really care about every human being around us and elevating them to the level of their best possible space. And I really hope you would join me on that. That's the whole purpose and the whole vision of my company and what I do. Raise each other up so we can raise the rest up. We can raise everyone up, and we can all be enjoying each other instead of having this combative crap that's been going on in this division and this loneliness and the depression and the suicide. I can't even believe the level of suicide that occurs with people that, or that they think about it. It just blows my mind. And it's not necessary. It's time for us to step up and to elevate ourselves into our best, because, as I say all the time, you can only give or get what you have for yourself. So when you start operating out of a higher level, those around you start watching. They say, ooh, I really like that. And they want to tap in too. Some people won't. You can't change that. Like, what verse? I can't remember the verse of it, where Jesus is like, you shake the dust off your sandals and you just move on, right? Like, that's it. You move on. It's not that we're mad at the dust. We're not mad at the people. We just move on. They're just not there yet, and it's okay. And we give them grace, and we give them permission to be on their journey while we go forge ahead like a boss on our journey to be the best that we can. All right. So hopefully that makes sense to you. Hopefully that clarifies. And I love the the questions. Thank you so much. YouTube clients, you know who you are. We had a serious conversation about it, and I just appreciate you guys so very much. And I cannot wait to have further dialogue and further questions that might come up with you guys. So share this with your friends if you would love for them to hear it, not in a judgmental way, right? Like you're going to share because, hey, this was awesome. This helped me. This elevated me. I'd love for you. I think you'd really love this, right? Share it, subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, and like it, and let's get this out to the world. All right. Much love. We'll see you next time.